Well, what's going on, Lou? Welcome to the Terp of the Beastcoast. This is our first podcast episode. We appreciate you joining us. So what I'm going to do is just, if you can, introduce yourself and tell us what you're doing currently in the industry.
Well, currently, my name is Pino. I either founded or associate with many different organizations. Currently, the ones I'm only going to talk about are the original one ended up being Terps and Trikes, but now we're calling D9 Lux. Okay. And it's going to end up dealing with a full branding agency, full service, as far as designing a type of characteristic for your company. We'll work very close hand in hand. It's a process, so it takes time. But when we're done, you will definitely have, that thing that you wanted for so long within your company.
Okay.
And along with that, also we manage a lot of different events. So we do a lot of event management, event consultation, from top to bottom. Within all industries, music or cannabis or corporate, it doesn't matter. We've done them all already. So it's just another day for us. And we ended up creating one event called Gene Traders, which specifically deals with genetics, as just being a platform for genetic breeders and hunters, female hunters, to get together and able to trade or sell their clones or genetics for their hard work. I mean, it takes time for this. Now, like I was talking about earlier, dealing with now the beginning of the year coming up in 2021, with legislation,
right?
For within my own state, within Connecticut,
right,
to legalize. So I have a little bit full of a full plate, but I'm hungry. Nice. So it's okay.
Nice. So let's just backtrack as far as before you got into this industry. What is it that you saw yourself doing before you got into this industry?
I was about maybe 2 years out of the music industry. Mm-hmm. I started dealing with. I was actually I performed a few times, and then I became management of artists. Okay. Then from management of artists, I jumped to artist development, and it's very intense dealing with all these artists, because artists are very emotional people. Right. When you become like rap or gangsta artists, they're emotional people, so they tend to get in trouble. So you're dealing with that whole, side of management, and from there I went to the radio station. Mm-hmm. Which just only ended up just increasing the size of my shows and of concerts and interactions with other famous musical artists. And then finally, I just had enough of that. After a while, you end up falling out of love after doing something for so long. Right. And I love music. Okay. And now I'm so far removed from it now that I can actually enjoy it. Like we're just enjoying that, new Busta Rhymes with that MJ cut, and I'm like, how do they clear this sample? This is insane.
I wish we could play it in the background, but right now I don't want.
It's not we won't get that clearance. that's that double back. Now we're definitely because now they're putting into. I don't know if you heard that you can't use other background music anymore within podcasts. They're tightening up on that. Wow. It's just because they're running, the algorithm's getting better.
Right. So, as far as, once you got into the industry...
Oh, wait, sorry. I'm almost there.
Okay,
sorry. So, the radio station, after a while, I just had enough, and I jumped to a branding agency. They picked me up as an event producer and one of the account executives dealing with, different events. As far as, for example, I did Barnum Bailey Circus. Nice. When it still had the elephants.
I've been to one.
So it was at the one in Worcester, Mass. Mm-hmm. And I had to walk them from the train, because they still travel by train, to the DCU inside. Wow. On the street. They're just like,
Nice.
They look like they're walking slow. Everybody is like speed walking on the floor.
Yeah.
Yo, it was freaking hilarious and amazing. Best experience. But that was around like 2008. And then the recession hit. I got laid off.
Wow. Okay.
Like, it was bad. And I just...
So, just to... Sorry I interrupted. Let's fast forward to now. So, basically, you're saying that a situation happened with the economy, just like with COVID-19.
Yes.
And it got your gears going, right?
Yes.
All right. So, jump back into that. What was going on there?
So I am a very talented individual when it comes to putting shows together of any sort. Does not matter the size. I've done, co-produced or directed or been in charge of everything up and down the East Coast. Like the big coliseums, the big stadiums, TD Garden, Square, Madison Square Garden,
I know
XL Center.
Yep.
There's outdoors, Oakdale Theater. I rented out the Oakdale Theater one time. You came to my event.
Yes, I have.
I told you not to give the RSO to my table guy. And he was like, my brother was like, yo, he's like, why would you do that? Like, he was like, oh my God. And, so it was okay though. He made it through. It was alright. It was after on the ride home that it just slapped him, He was out the whole ride back. It was funny though. It was good. He made it through, so. But, yeah, so I had all these skills, right? And nowhere to like really put them in. Rhode Island, I live in, southeastern Connecticut, which neighbors Rhode Island.
Right.
And Rhode Island at the time had a really great medical program.
Right.
When you were still able to, everybody was still allowed to sell their overages to the dispensaries.
Yeah.
Still same amount of dispensaries, but at least they were able to do something. They changed those laws over time, but I was able to deal with social gatherings, manage something like dealing with Cannabis All-Stars, where the pharmacist ended up bringing me on because I had all these skills as far as like putting all these events together of different sizes.
Right.
So the pharmacist gave me my first shot into the cannabis industry.
Nice.
Because I was able to use these skills within a medical cannabis industry. I was able to meet a lot of people too, because during that time it was buzzing. Nice. This is where I met you at.
That's right. Shout out to the pharmacist.
Shout out to the pharmacist.
Hopefully we'll get you on here.
No doubt. And creating the creation of the Tetrahydro Club, and all of those adventures that ended up going through those walls, all the concerts that went there like that.
No doubt.
This was where I was able to put all my skills of everything that I ended up learning up to that point.
Nice.
And this is where I also created Gene Traders in the Tetrahydro Club too.
Nice.
Just about, and I did it because of a need that people had. Not to, myself, first started myself, because I needed access to more genetics.
Right.
But at the time, still like who
right.
Maybe they'll give it to you, maybe they won't, blah blah blah. And he was still dealing with the male. There wasn't like a ton of breeders that there are like today.
Right. So let's talk about the Gene Traders that you're currently running right now, and let's talk about the culture of the Gene Traders. What is it about? What makes it different from any other show that you feel that makes it unique?
Well, it's right from jump. It's not a competition, right? Okay. So you're already taking that element out of it.
Okay.
Right, which is nice. It's not business. So you don't get like that automatic. If you end up being like something, a conference for business, whatever. And I do manage and have managed in the past many business conferences dealing for cannabis. But because of that, I ended up not dealing. I didn't want those conflict of interest at the same time too.
Okay.
At the same time, it wasn't a sesh. I wasn't selling, weed or like dabs or anything like that. So I wasn't. I wasn't have to worry about that illegal part, because you only have to do technically with only a license, right? So what was left was seeds and clones.
Okay.
But just out of a need for that, for myself, because I became a caregiver within Rhode Island when you could still, out of state, be a caregiver for certain people in Rhode Island, which that's what I ended up doing, to learn my skills as far as cultivating. And I needed different access of different types, and it was taking me a long time to gather all those different type of genetics up.
Okay.
So I threw at that event and found out that I was the only one that needed those same type of, access to different type of genetics. So I threw another show, and I decided to keep it every 2 to 3 months. So now you're able to acquire a clone, take it home, flower it, come back, possibly even show the person that you got, look, yo, I'm so happy, blah, blah. And you're able to trade, like, what you both experienced with that plant.
Nice.
And get those little quirks out of, like, the gene trader, that specific genetics.
So you're bringing basically a different networking aspect to it. Basically, besides it just being business to consumer, it's more consumer to consumer because it's more the consumer is able to talk to the actual breeder himself.
I like to say it's more of a grower to grower.
Grower to grower, nice.
That's it. So it's only for growers.
There you go.
Like, so this is what, this is why, nutrient companies, light companies, like, they all end up approaching us all the time because we're the core of it.
Right.
Without the growers, without the genetics, there's nothing else.
Exactly.
There's no edibles, there's no, concentrates, RSOs, any of this industry. It starts from there.
Right. I also
it's because it's a shared thing that we're both growers, we're both talking about growing, that we know what we're this like this club, like that's why there's no like being able to bullshit somebody else. Like, what? I was like, that's crazy. Like, I know you lie. I know you got like wild PM. You doing that with that specific strain? You're crazy.
So at the end of the day, let's talk about the people that you bring in as far as their ideology with their genetics.
So something that we've ended up, we thought about different systems to try to figure out how to guide the breeders and the hunters that end up kind of going through, through gene traders. And ultimately we decided that there's some general stuff, meaning that it's clean, right? It's got to be a clean clone, or if you're selling a clone, and that there was no possible way for us to be able to tell you how much your genetics is worth when you've spent so much time, money, time. I say that twice because the time is what takes, to find, just grow things 3-4 times. That's a whole year. 4 times. That's a whole year. People don't get that.
It is. It is a lengthy process to stabilize it. So right now, I know that you might have an idea where you see gene traders, and you want to share that vision where you see your company in the next 5 years.
I see it as continuing to maintain being a platform. We might end up changing mediums within platform. Currently, it's just an event, but we are working on an online version, and of course, there's other ones, but I'm not going to mention those just yet. Okay. Got to maintain, the company secrets is, but definitely that. But the online one is going to end up. We're going to end up doing it a little bit differently because we have to, just to make sure that we're following the law, make sure we're, progressing, steadily. And that's something too that we try to maintain that, that kind of like, I guess is feeling of the company, a standard of the company, a branding of the company, that the importance of genetics and making sure that preservation, proper preservation, that's why we call them, a lot of times people call them novelty seeds or bird seeds, right? We call them genetic preservation kits.
Nice.
Keep away from soil and water.
Nice.
You want to preserve the genetics, correct? So, nice little fancy packaging, but what you end up paying for within